Good afternoon. Welcome back to another fine sunny day here in eastern North Carolina. It's a little on the cool side. I think it's only supposed to get to 60-ish maybe today. Either way, the dahlias need some love because later this week we're supposed to get freezing temperatures, which means the dahlias will turn around and obviously they'll get bitten by the frost and they'll die back. And right now, if you can see this, hopefully, the beds are a bit weedy with this fine grass. It's a bit of a mess and it's everywhere. The other thing is when I planted the dahlias, I said I was going to leave them in the ground, which I am. I'm going to leave the dahlias in the ground this year. But in order to do that, I have to add some more soil and then mulch to the bed, because when I planted the dahlias, I planted them fairly shallow. They're only about 1 inch or so deep, maybe 2 inches at most. So that's pretty shallow. And again, we don't get hard frosts like in northern environments. I mean, when I lived in New York, you just couldn't leave them in the ground at all. And that was growing zone 7A. And that's because, again, you got at least a foot deep frost on the ground. Here in growing zone 8A, we get surface frost at best. But that being said, dahlias will not stand any frost at all, the tubers themselves. And if the tubers freeze, your plant's dead. So what I have to do is I have to turn around and clean out this bed. And then I'm going to turn around and add more compost to it, and I'll talk about that when I do that. And then I'm going to remulch all of it. I'm not going to cut back the dahlias today. I want to try to get a few more days out of them if I can. But I think once that frost hits on Friday, that'll be the end of them, and I'll be cutting them back to the ground. But yeah, let me get to work here. I'm gonna, when I'm adding the soil that I'm adding, which is it's really not just soil. What I'm adding is mushroom compost mixed in with a planting mix, which consists primarily of cow manure and bark fines. So I've mixed all that together in the wheelbarrow here, and again, I'll be adding that to the dahlia bed, primarily in the areas that I'm growing dahlias in right now, and then I can worry about the rest of the bed next spring. Right now, I need to get these dahlias tucked in for the year. I'm not sure how I'm going to film any of this, so like always, I'm just going to wing it. Watching, really all I'm doing is taking my hand and I'm fluffing up the mulch, and I'm trying to tear out as much of the grass as I can. The grass grows from little bulbs, or it looks like bulbs to me, and the leaves they've evolved to break off so that the bulb itself stays in the ground, and it'll come back probably next spring, in which case I'll have to do all this all over again. But I'm just pulling back the mulch. I'm reusing it in areas. I'm not going to throw it all out. It's still good mulch, but I'm pulling it back. I'm adding the new soil mixture, which is the compost, mushroom compost with the pine barks and all, and manure. And I'm just putting that on top, another inch or two, and then of course once all this is cleaned up, or as I go along, you'll probably see in the next segment here, I'll be coming back in with new mulch, covering up those areas, probably making it about 3 to 4 inches thick. All of that should be able to keep these tubers fine and happy and safe until next spring, actually early summer. Dahlias like the ground to be at least 60 degrees before they start coming up, so it'll probably be close to next summer. Either way, I gotta get back to work. I still have a lot to do. Okay, I apparently only had enough of the mushroom compost mix stuff that I was using to complete about half the bed. Again, there's still plenty of dahlias here that need to be cleaned up, weeded out, compost added, remulched, just as I was doing to all those. Let's take a closer look at that versus this. So we'll start on the weedy side, and you can see all the grass. And if I come close to the border here with the boxwoods, I still have to mulch over here as well. This was something I held off for a while. Probably shouldn't have, but either way, now we're getting back into the area that I just did. You may notice that there are some darker areas. That is the newer, fresher mulch. The lighter areas is the drier, older mulch. And if we even look down close, you may see some grass, but that's all broken up, torn up, ripped up. It's all going to shrivel up and die and add wonderful nutrients to the bed. Down here I used more of the new mulch, but along the edges I pulled back some of the mulch from the interior of the bed to the edges. Just again, reuse. I didn't throw anything out. Everything got reused. Weeds got thrown out, pulled, grass got pulled. And I actually, one of the other benefits that came of this was I was able to dig into some of the spots. For instance, this right here. I have no idea what the heck was growing in here a minute ago, but actually I think this was a bride-to-be. And so I stuck my finger in here and no tubers. So the tuber obviously rotted away. There was another dahlia over here with this pole, and that one also rotted away. Nothing there. So there were a few dahlias for various reasons that died, rotted away. But as you can see, many others grew, many flowered. A lot of these I believe got in pretty late this year. Not as early as I would have liked. But again, I'm going to leave these in over the winter. And that's why I'm doing all this work now, because Friday was supposed to get a freeze. So if I can weed this out, find out what's dead, what survived, maybe a plant, the tuber is still good underground, but you never know. A tuber may still be good underground, but the top part died off. That actually happened with the inflammation. So weed it out, check all that out, add the appropriate amount of compost back in, throw in a nice thick layer of mulch, and hopefully next early summer we get beautiful dahlias coming up. And I plan on leaving these in the ground for at least 3 years. I will observe obviously the plants, and on the third year, at the end of the third year, I may pull up whatever I deem necessary to do to then divide the tubers. The reason for this is apparently I'm not, again, an expert on dahlias. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there where they are, but apparently if you leave a dahlia in the ground too long, it will flower less and less and less. Of course, you'll have a massive ball of tubers, because that's what the dahlias do. They just keep growing from the tubers and they keep producing new tubers. So I figure maybe every 3 years, maybe 4 years. Again, I'll have to observe the plants, see what they do. I can then dig that up, divide as necessary. Either I'll do it in the wintertime and replant in the springtime, or I'll just do it in early spring. I can dig the plants up and then figure out from there. But I'll have to do my homework on that. If you've grown dahlias before, and if you have any words of advice or wisdom, please leave those comments below. I still have so much to do. That'll be job for tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Again, any questions, comments, etc., leave them below. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.